Today we are going to be talking about Tusk.
Hello, I'm an old man who has enjoyed a long and storied life at sea. And after eons of oceanic adventure, I know I do not wish to spend my remaining years alone while I have such stories to share.
Interesting movie, to say the least. First time watching it today. Shocked a little bit, but like a good shock.
It's pretty hard to warm up to outsiders with that movie.
It's
a very niche genre, to say the least.
I went into it totally blind. I wasn't disappointed by any means. I really enjoyed the movie. It's like something I would, if somebody asked me about it, I'd be like, yeah, interesting movie. And I would probably be able to like go on about it for a while.
Yeah. It's definitely in the little wacky realm that Kevin Smith weaves. Pretty out there even for him though, but it's definitely, you can tell it's a Kevin Smith movie just by watching it if you're familiar with any of his other works.
This is the first movie I've ever watched by him, so like I don't have, I guess, like baseline to base it off of. But if any of his other work is like that, I would be interested in his other work too, because this was a movie to talk about for sure. You start out and you just start following a douchey podcast reporter, Wallace, and at first, like, I'm just gonna kind of like talk from my initial like first time watching. I like didn't mind the guy. I thought he was like I was just like, this guy's just like doing something different. It's weird, you know, but like people do that in today's day and age. It's not like crazy. Yeah. And then you get to know him farther throughout the story, and then like definitely down the line, he's a douchebag that I don't care about. Like less than halfway through the movie, I'm just like, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
Like I don't even give a shit what happens to him, but it's still like fucked up. I'm just like, what the fuck is happening? This is nightmare material right here.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's talking about a video on the internet. Some dude cuts off his leg. Just the worst. They show the video and it's so bad. The like leg getting chopped off is like just horrendous. Like it's not like graphic, but it's just like, oh, that's fake.
Yeah, Kill Bill kid. He's playing with a katana in his garage and lobs his leg off. So
oops.
He's
making fun of that kid on a show, which kind of like starts with like, you're a douchebag, like just making fun of this.
Yeah, and he kept drilling it too. He wasn't like letting up. He was digging,
milking it. And then you find out he got an opportunity to go interview the kid in Canada, and he takes a trip up there, and then you immediately find out the kid just killed himself.
With the katana.
With the katana that he cut his leg off. Which is just like, I didn't see that coming. So like but I didn't know where the movie was going at the time. I was like, how is this movie? You know, I've seen not clips, but like images of like the Tusk, a walrus, right?
Yeah, yep.
And I'm just like, where is that going to come into this movie now if he's just some podcast dude going to interview somebody? And then you find out the kid dies, he goes to a bar, and he's taking a piss, and there's like a bulletin board, and he sees like some ad to go talk to old dude. His name was what? Howard?
Howard Howe is what his pseudonym for the movie, well, for the ad was. But yeah, it was, if you'd come there and live with him and did house chores for him because he was wheelchair bound, you could live for free. And he's saying like how he's got like millions of stories and he's lived a life, so you could learn off of him and stuff like that. Kind of just saying like how he's just old and he's got all these stories to tell, but too crippled to live a normal life. So he needs someone to come and live with him and help him do house chores. And then Wallace calls him and is like, oh, I run a podcast. I would love to come talk and hear some of your stories. And then that's how he gets out there.
And when he gets out there, he gets into the house. You meet the old man, and then they kind of exchange. They just start having a conversation, and the old man, Howard, starts talking just about stories, how he met. I can't think of who he met.
Ernest Hemingway, the author.
He exchanges that story and tells him how he met Hemingway because of the quote. I can't think of the quote either exactly, but
that's not necessarily too
he gives him a quote, and then that leads into that story. And you like when that scene came on and they were like talking, I was like, damn, this is like interesting. Like, just I don't even care. We're just listening to some dude tell a story in a movie, and I was like,
he had a lot of stuff to draw you in with.
No, and then like his house, like suits of armor, like knight armor. You had like different artifacts. He had like a booze bottle that Hemingway gave him, and just really interesting. Like if I was in Wallace's like shoes and I was there, I'd be looking all over the place. I'd be shocked too, and you could like tell that the old man just didn't care for this like young fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Like, oh, wow, it's cool shit that Wallace is always saying. It's just like, you're talking to like an older gentleman. Like, come on, just sit down and like be respectful and listen to a story. And Howard gives Wallace some tea, and it was like I said, never watched a movie, and it was like heavily. I was just like, there's something in that tea, man.
Well, yeah,
like,
and he kept commenting on it too, like, I hate tea, but this is like really good. Wow, oh, this is good.
This tea's slapping, man.
Yeah. And like he's getting like drowsier and drowsier as he's talking to him, and he keeps drinking more tea.
And he passes out, and then it flashes to what I thought was a weaker plot line of the movie, and like just kind of like whatever, but I didn't like it. Adds for some comedic value later down the line to the Wallace's girlfriend who is cheating on him, but Wallace has been cheating on her with just random bimbos.
Yeah, when he's out on the road, he fucks fans.
Which is just yikes. And she's cheating on him with his
co-host.
Yeah, co-host. Yeah. And I just thought that they like cover it up. They don't show that it's his co-host for like 10 minutes, but it's like extremely obvious. You're just like,
oh yeah,
it's clearly who it is.
Well, and before Wallace leaves for Canada, they talked about how his co-host was taking her to an art museum because Wallace couldn't be bothered to go to an art museum because it's too boring.
And he's a douchebag now.
Yeah.
And then it snaps back to Wallace and Howard, and that plot line thickens a little bit. And I think it's kind of like ironic in a sense. Like, what happens is he's sitting in like a wheelchair and he's just like completely out of it, drooling on himself in like an empty room. It almost looked like he was like in an insane asylum. It was like, what is this room? What's going on? And then you got Howard way in the corner, shining what it was a Tusk, right?
Yeah.
He was shining a Tusk, and he like rolls over because he's in a wheelchair to Wallace, and I forget what they talk about specifically. Wallace is just kind of out of it, like what the hell happened, and Howard's just making up some complete bullshit story.
Yeah, like what happened last night, and he's like, oh, there was a spider that crawled out of your pant leg and it bit you.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I can't feel my legs. He's like, oh, it's because the spinals. We had to give you spinal injections when you're being treated for the spider bite. And he gives him his big gulp cup or whatever from the A to Z. And then he rips his blanket off to reveal a stump.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Holy shit! There's no leg there.
Howard told him that Dr. Moussier had to amputate to save him from the spider venom coursing through his veins.
Freaking Dr. Moussier up the road.
Moussier, man,
doing the rounds.
8 miles up the road. Also, plot twist, apparently to save Wallace from stress, Dr. Moussier removed all of the phones from the house. Because if they were to ring, it would cause him unwarranted stress.
And his phone was
stepped on.
Destroyed from one step.
Was stepped on also by Dr. Moussier.
Fucking madman. Destroying everything. And that leads into Wallace, of course, like, not having it. Like, you can tell he's just like, what the fuck? Like, he's onto it a little bit, where anybody would be like, the fuck you knocked me out and just took my leg?
Yeah, he was still heavily sedated at that point, but he's like, oh, I need to call my family. He said, phones, like, we can talk about it at dinner time. After dinner time, he said, we can ask Dr. Moussier. And then he says, like, dinner's at 6 sharp or something.
And then that leads into dinner right away. And the dinner scene is interesting, and it kind of like showed stuff that I was like, beforehand I was just like, yeah, obvious. Like how Howard isn't like truly wheelchair bound. He can just like walk, but he's in it to like sell the story when Wallace gets there. And I like kind of felt that way right away, because you see him in like the first scene that he's in whip his leg up and cross his legs. I'm like, why are you in a wheelchair if you can just move your leg like that?
Yeah. Well, and it's like they were talking at dinner time again too. Like at this point, Wallace was kind of coming to more.
Yeah.
Granted, he was still like juiced up, because like at one point Howard's like, "Why aren't you eating?" And he's like, "I can't move my arms." And he's like, "Oh, that's the morphine, keeps you from howling in pain." But he starts like asking him questions, kind of trying to back him into a corner with questions like, "Oh, I got bit by a spider, you say?" He's like, "Oh yeah." And he's like, "What kind of spider?" He's like, "Oh, brown recluse, also called the hobo spider." And then he's like, "What did the spider look like?"
Yeah.
And he's like trying to back him into a corner. And then he starts screaming his fucking head off, just nuts, like, because he sees Howard stand up and walk towards him, and Howard slaps the shit out of him.
Which is just... it was a really good scene. It was a strong scene. I liked when they backed out and the camera shot was like from outside of the dining room.
Oh yeah, that looked great.
I was like, man, that's just like a great shot. Like you're looking in, I was like, that's a bomb ass looking dining room. You know, like you got this
and a super long table.
Yeah, you have this like villainous, like it's so like cliche villain almost, where you have this enormous table and you sit one person at the end, one person at the other end, and it really comes more to light, if you haven't really already caught on to it, that Howard's clearly like a bad guy of some sort. You don't really know his full intent, like coming into it completely like blind, I guess I'd say. I like had no idea. And he starts talking about how he was lost at sea and he made friends with a walrus on an island when he made it to an island. And he says the island a few times later on, but it was very, I don't remember because it wasn't like a crazy important detail. And he misses the walrus, and he doesn't come out and say it then, like yet at the dinner scene, but you find out later that he's gonna turn Wallace into a walrus. And that was just like, you're insane. And I don't know like what I was thinking, like how he was gonna do it, because like how do you turn a person into a walrus? Like nobody's thinking of that shit day to day. And you kind of go down the line more, and they do scenes with the girlfriend and the co-host, because shortly after the dinner, Wallace hears his phone going off, which wasn't destroyed, and so he goes to it and he's like freaking out. He like tries to call his girlfriend and be like,
yeah, he just missed the call. It went into voicemail, and he called back immediately, but the girlfriend was too busy banging his friend. Well, she was crying to him at first, but the way they wake up in the morning makes it pretty evident that they were banging. But of all places, she plugs her phone in the bathroom. They both do. They plug their phones into the bathroom.
It was a loft in LA. They don't have a lot of plugins, you know. Just that one in the bathroom.
Yeah, and he calls both of them, leaves them both voicemails because he's freaking out. Because his leg's gone. He's about to be possibly killed /
like
maimed.
He doesn't know yet. Yeah, so like of course you have no idea what's running through your head. And
he can't remember where exactly he was either. He just remembered he was like 2 hours north of Winnipeg.
Mm-hmm. And then we go back to Wallace and Howard, and Howard finds him, and then he knocks him out with the like
penis,
walrus penis thing he has in his house.
Yeah.
Whoa. So it's like a walrus spine?
No, it's more like a walrus cock.
Shut up.
I'm a dirty boy, aren't I?
That's a walrus dick?
No, that's the baculum. That's the bone that's found on the penis of most placental mammals, excluding man, of course.
Oh, that's not fair.
Yeah.
It was basically a walrus penis.
Yeah, it's like a dick bone. He like hits him on the head and he falls over. And he says like, you will be a walrus or you will not be at all, or something along those lines. You will exist as a walrus or you will not exist at all.
Yeah. That was just a powerful scene, you know. Power move right there.
Wallace's ending words were, what the fuck? And he drifts off.
And he the way he drifted off in that part was so stupid to me. He gets knocked down and he was like fully conscious. He was like looking at him and like talking. And then like a minute later he passes on. It was
like a slow drift. He got cracked on the head. It should have been like,
it was like, okay,
lights
like
out.
Delayed effect or some shit.
Yeah, I don't know.
And you wake up in like the surgery type chamber.
Yeah, he was stitching together all the stuff for his walrus suit for Mr. Tusk.
And he was going on like a tangent, as some psychopath would in his wooded mansion while he's stitching together a human. And you like get a pan out shot of the like what Wallace looks like. It's fucking freaky. You got him like his arms stitched together like this.
Yeah.
And they didn't like, both of his legs are off now, right at the knees. They're both taken off.
Better to be a walrus.
And then nothing else is really done that we can see. You later find out that they like fuck up his teeth so they can like put tusks in his mouth. They say they take out like the top teeth, but like there was scenes where I could like see his full set of teeth and I'm like, they're fine.
It was kind of like if you saw like the dead one underwater. Remember when they? It was like right up here almost where the tusks were bolted in. Yeah. So maybe like the other one's teeth fell out when he bolted them in or something.
And
it was like through the roof of the mouth as well.
Then you don't see like him turn him fully into the tusk, or not the tusk, the walrus, but you just see that pan out shot of like him sewed up and like cut up, and then it jumps to like this little chamber that Howard made.
Yeah, almost like he tried to recreate the island, and there's like a little automated bridge that goes over to like a rock where he can sit and he's chained up.
And then there's like water, of course. And then he has what were you like? Almost like tarps, like
like a projection screen.
A projector, and then he had the projecting screen. And he was playing.
Yeah, it was just like beach footage, like seagulls and stuff, and just water.
It was just like a freaky little room in his basement, because you know it's like attached to his house. Which is like, how you made like a pool in your basement.
It was like a secret room too. It looked like a little
wooded off
supply
area.
closet. Yeah, there's like a wrench and stuff in there.
He's in there then, and you see the walrus or tusk or whatever you
see
want to
like
call
the flipper, the back one at first, because it shows like there's like a hook through his thing chained up, so he can't really get away.
Seeing it for the first time, I was just like, You can like see
it was like
years.
a slow build.
Yeah, it almost like a Star Wars shot Death Star. You're like seeing the full thing, and you build up the whole, or like it follows it up the whole walrus, and you could like see like it looks like he got skin from other people, like other humans.
Yeah, it was like a group effort.
And at this time, you don't know that he's done this to multiple people, so it's like what the fuck, and like. You can see like ears and like the skin like in like the lower back, and you can see like part of a face.
Yeah.
And shit, and then it like pans up and you see the whole thing, and it looks like a walrus and everything. Like you got the tusks and everything. His tongue's cut out, so all he can do is like not even scream, just like make noises.
Yeah.
And it is just, for the first time seeing it, I was just like, what the fuck? I was like, this is
that like sudden like zoom out shot where it just shows him like his whole body sitting there and he's just like screaming.
Stop it! Walruses never cry!
I love that shot. It's like really good.
I was like, I don't know if I want to say shocked, but I was just like, this is some shit that like,
what the hell?
I was like running through my head like, what the fuck? What if this happened to me somehow? Like I'd be like drowning myself in the pool. I'd just be like, fuck it, dog. I'm done. I'm not living like this.
Ahoy, matey!
And Howard, of course, fucking psychopath, is like, well, walruses need to swim, and he's got that chain on his like flipper, whatever the hell that, I wouldn't call it a flipper, homemade, and he like it. He has it set up to clearly some sort of mechanism that like pulls it in.
Yeah, like a winch.
Yep, and he starts it, and it like immediately starts dragging him into the water, and he's like freaking out, making the noises that he can because his tongue is cut out, and he starts swimming. He is like swimming for like a minute.
He was like
there.
Above it for a little while, and then
Howard crazy, swim, Mr. Tusk, like yelling at him.
Yeah.
And then you see Wallace start to sink, and it was like, this is to be expected. He was a human, and you turn him into some fucking creature.
Yeah, not to mention his arms are like this.
Yeah, and he's sinking down, and you're seeing him drowning. And when that shot happened, I was thinking to myself, I was like, that's the moment where I just let myself die. Like, no joke, I just let myself die. If I was in this situation, I'd drown.
Yeah, there's no coming back.
I'm just like, I'm drowning to death right here. This is it. And you see from Wallace's point of view for like a second, and there's another walrus down there, like just a dupe of him basically, but it's like dead, decaying. You can like see its rib cage, and like its skull is like messed up. And that shot, I was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's like, this guy's made multiple people, and he's just like killing them, or who knows what, because we haven't seen the end yet.
Okay. Well, I did some checking. And we don't have a Howard Howe anywhere in Manitoba.
Shit.
As regards your friend, I asked Border Patrol if they got a report of him leaving the country yet. They say he come into Winnipeg, and that's it. Don't you two worry.
The cop tells him that there's no Howard Howe.
Yep.
But that there's someone who stopped in 2 days prior looking for exactly what they were looking for. And that's Guy Lapointe, the lowly homicide detective who was on the force for however long, but now he's solely hunting Howard down. He doesn't know who it is at that point. And there was like 23 victims? 23?
23, yep.
Yeah.
That breaks into, and like, I guess this is my opinion, some people might think otherwise, and I don't have a problem with that. I felt like it was arguably the longest scene of the whole movie. It was like them at an airport restaurant.
Yeah, they were at the airport restaurant when they first met him, and he's like telling him how he's been going after this guy, and there's been how many victims, and they're all like the same, like the bodies that they've found, because they've found bodies.
Yeah.
Like one of them was a hockey player that went missing, and like has a hole in the mouth, and they can't figure out why there's the hole in the mouth. Like no legs, their arms are all messed up.
In the beginning, it was like a really good scene for me because you get Johnny Depp in there as the homicide detective, and like there's definitely a comedy factor to this movie, but like a lot of it is rather serious.
Yeah.
Like it's like some thriller stuff, and then it turns into like some like what the fuck stuff. I won't even classify it as thriller. It's just like what the hell is happening?
Yeah, like body horror. That's like a genre.
Yeah, and then it turns into like a comedy, just straight up a comedy.
Yeah,
and I was
he
like,
eats the sliders. He smashes them into the table.
That part kind of grossed me out. Like amongst the whole movie, that part I was like, that's fucking gross.
I'm not entirely sure why he smashed it up like that. And he ordered a lot. He ordered like 4 sliders, like a big side of something.
No, but then he whips the flask out of his jacket and he just pours a ton of booze in it and just mixes it up and goes to town on it. And that scene, it just turned into a comedy movie for me. And I like didn't mind it. I thought it was funny. I was like the comedy they were doing. But it felt like off to me at some points. I was just like, this was like a serious movie. Like really, it felt very serious. Like even some of the parts that had a comedy aspect. And then it turned into like literally Johnny Depp appears. And then it was just like a clown of a movie, and I was just like, what is going on? Like, it didn't ruin the movie for me, though.
Kevin Smith got Johnny Depp to be in his movie, and he's the most ridiculous character. He's just, like, over the top, like, with this, like, super raunchy French-Canadian accent.
I thought that was, like, great. When I saw Johnny Depp, too, I was like, why the fuck is he in this movie? I was like,
a lot of people don't realize it's Johnny Depp right away, either. Like, Alex didn't really catch on to it until I had told him, but you caught it right away. It took me a while to decode it the first time I watched it, too.
I just like his face. I was like, that's Johnny Depp.
Yeah, they put like a big fake nose on him. He's got like the mustache and stuff, so it's not really... And it's kind of, even for Johnny Depp, it's like a way over the top character for him.
He's got like a mustache, like... Did he have a full beard, or he just had like a goatee type
I think
deal?
It was like a combo type deal, like mustache and goatee.
And it was very comedic. And then they break into the scene where he says he thinks he met the killer.
Yeah.
But that part felt like it went on too long for me. That was the part where I was just like...
Yeah, it does kind of feel like a longer scene. Granted, I think it's like kind of funny, and it was kind of necessary because it was like dropping hints that it was Howard. Mm-hmm. And he was just like trying to off-put him. I think he realized someone was onto him, so he like put on that whole facade to do it again.
Well, I have to regretfully inform you that I'm not the man. I'm not that man who was sent by the lady who said she was sending someone. I'm not him.
You're not going to shoot the spider?
As inspector of the Sûreté du Québec, I'm actually not authorized to discharge a weapon at a bug.
They go around locally looking everywhere that he might have stopped.
Yep.
Like, because he called his co-host earlier on, like before he even met Howard, telling him like, oh, I'm at Bar H. There's nothing here in Canada. It's so boring. And they go to the bar and ask, like with a picture, asking if he'd seen him. And then no one there remembered him. But then he asked, like, which one of you knows him better? Like, what are his driving habits? Does he smoke? Does he text? She's like, oh, he always gets those big, dumb, ridiculous drink cups from gas stations. Yeah. So then that's where they go to the A to Z and talk to the clerks.
Which I'll let you explain. Like,
yeah, they called him like Mustache Man and stuff because he was like being like a typical rude American in Canada. So they kind of like blew him off.
Oh my God, what? No way, it's Mr. Mustache.
Mr. Mustache.
she's like, oh, he wrote down the address or wherever he was going on our notepad. And he's like, can you get me the pad? And they're like, you get the pad. He's like, can someone get me the pad?
Someone needs to give me the pad.
And he takes his pencil and he shades it on there to show where Wallace had written before. And he's like, oh, that was on Big Lebowski.
And that scene had a good comedic value. Like, the two clerk girls were like, oh my goodness.
Also, a little fun factoid is that the clerks in the store, one is Kevin Smith's daughter, and then the other is Johnny Depp's daughter. And they also co-star in another movie that takes place after Tusk in the same universe called Yoga Hosers, which is also really good. We should make you guys watch that one. Well, and then there's the one part where Howard like gets in swimming clothes and is in the water with Tusk, like holding him, and they're like playing music.
Which there's a dead guy in that water. Get out of that water.
Yeah,
that's gross.
That, and he's like serenading with a man walrus skin creature.
And then he hits Wallace with, oh, you must be hungry. And like, I kind of like felt like he was going to feed him a fish. I saw a bucket earlier in the movie, like in the room. I was like, oh, if there's a fish in there and he feeds him a fish, I'm about to be sick. And he whips a fucking fish down on the floor. Big old like, plop.
There's a mackerel.
And then he like walks out of the room and he's got like a little, not even secret door. It's so dumb.
He just gets out of the door, closes it, and then he's got his like little hatch and he like opens it and he's like in front of it, like staring out.
Just like watching him eat, and he's like whispering to himself like, now go to the fish.
Yeah.
Eat the fish. And then you see him and he eats the fish, and I was just like, no, shut it down, cancel the movie. It goes back to Johnny Depp, you know, that group, and they're onto him. They find the car.
Yeah, they find the car like ditched in a pond basically. So Howard had to have gotten onto that because Wallace clearly made it all the way to Howard's house just fine.
And let's talk about that. This man is a serial killer. He has killed multiple people now. You would assume he's got good at it too because he's been getting away with it. He pushed a car into the lake with the whole back end just sticking up. License plate right there.
Not only that, it was near his house. Like, it close.
It wasn't deep into the lake, and it was right next to his house. What are you doing? You're a professional at this point at killing people, and you're doing amateur shit?
Body count is over 20. I mean, you should know better.
Like, that scene had me. I was just like, what is happening? No fucking way this is real. And Johnny Depp whips down very clearly a gun case, opens it up, and tries to hand the two Americans guns. And the co-host hits him with like, no, I don't want the gun. And the chick's just like sitting there. She doesn't say anything. And the co-host is just like, he's really like, no, I don't want it. Like, and Johnny Depp, the Canadian, hits him with, what, two Americans who don't like guns? You know,
Well, and then the girl takes it, and then he's like...
No, the girl takes it and then goes, take the gun, and like demands that he takes it. And he like picks it up and he's fine. And then I think which is funny, just to like sidetrack in a sense, he gets in the house with the gun and he's just the most confident. He's sprinting around with the gun in his hand. I was like, 2 seconds ago you didn't want the gun, and now you're just like running around.
Yeah, he flips around the corner, like they bust down the door like James Bond.
Took a tactical course just to clear this one house.
Well, and Johnny Depp pulls out like the cream of the creme gun. Like, I always make that comment because he's got this like gorgeous chrome shotgun with like cherry wood on it, and he's like, I'll take the big one. He pulls out his shotgun.
This man's never used a shotgun. It was too chrome, and then like the wood was just pristine. It was like, damn, I'd love something mounted like
fresh.
That. And they go to the house, which is literally down the block pretty much from this fucking lake where the car is so shittily thrown in. And once they get there, the girlfriend and the co-host just like storm in like their
they
SWAT
like
team
busted
6.
down the door.
Like,
well, busted it open.
No hesitation. They're just like, we're in this bitch. Johnny Depp is nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, no,
like,
he's hanging in the back.
And they're storming the whole house. And at this point, with Walrus and Howard,
they can hear him screaming. Yeah,
they can hear him screaming, and like we know what's happening because they're flashing back and forth between these two scenes. But what started there was Howard put on his own walrus suit. He didn't turn himself into a walrus. He just put one that he made.
Yeah, he just had like a suit around him and then like a mask, but the face was open and the tusks for him were like on his forehead. It was kind of just like a hood.
Yeah. And that scene was them fighting then, and Howard told him that he had to kill him or he was going to get killed.
Yeah, he had to like go full walrus and he had to like prove that he would be like real.
You have a terrible choice to make here. You have to kill me if you want to live. And if you live, it will be as a walrus.
And that scene was just weird. I was just like, what are you, you fucking psychopathic man? You want to get killed or you want to just kill him? So like basically you're just a psycho who turns people into walruses so you can kill them easily.
Well, yeah, and they're like kind of like nudging like back and forth. Like Wallace clearly wasn't satisfying him enough because then he just like stands up and like the thing around him like falls off. And he's like, clearly you're not walrus material. Basically, he had a club. He was about to.
Yeah, I think it was
kill Wallace.
It was the walrus penis. Again.
I think so. Yeah.
You know, surprise, the walrus penis is back, and he's all like, oh, well, you know, my survival instinct, I'm ready to kill you. Like, I'm not dying to some walrus thing I made. And then
Wallace goes ape shit.
He like fucking just knocks him over. And then
he stabbed him in the foot first.
Okay,
he put the tusk through his foot and he's like...
And he just starts basically like headbutting him with the tusk and like, but headbutting, like he's stabbing him in the chest.
The shit out of him in the chest, yeah.
And it's like clear, like, okay, he won. Cool shit. And then you have his girlfriend and the co-host, Johnny Depp, coming in. They get in, that happens, and then Johnny Depp is just like sitting in the doorway all of a sudden. We haven't seen him since he picked up like the badass chrome shotgun. We need some use out of that thing here. And he walks in out of like the shade, like the shadowy doorway, and he just like aims it at Wallace and then black screen.
Yep.
And for me, honestly, I thought they were going to roll credits there, and I was like, I would be content with that ending. And then they go to the girlfriend and the co-host rolling up in a car, and then they get out and it like shows clearly like an old abandoned zoo.
Yeah, it was like a rundown zoo.
Yeah. And they walk in and then they go to this area that's like caged off. It's got like a pool and like a igloo. And then they like yell out for Wallace. And it's heavily assumed that he's in there, which of course he was. And then they like throw him a fish and he yells, he doesn't yell shit. The girlfriend yells like, I loved you.
She's like, oh, Wallace, you don't have to hide yourself from us.
Yeah. And then he eats the fish, and then he looks up at him finally, which he clearly hadn't been doing. And then she like gets emotional and leaves then right away. And then like he cries a tear, and then it pans over to the pool and rolls credits. Which I was okay with that any kind of, but I was like, couldn't somebody fix him up and take him out of this fucking walrus thing? Like... If he got in there, they could fix him. You know, there's surgeons out there. What the fuck? If some dude did this in his basement, can't you guys revert this? I was like a little pissed off. I was like, really?
I think they couldn't fix him because he went full walrus. Like his mentality, like his human mentality is gone. Like they could cut him out of that suit and he'd just be like a nugget with like messed up arms and no legs. But like he'd be gone. Like his like... humanity would be gone.
I'm so scared.
This guy wants to turn me into an animal or something. I don't want to die in Canada.
And clearly, if you can't see my hat, it's got Kevin Smith, Tusk on it. I'm clearly a Tusk fan. That whole thing came to be, with me personally, for liking Tusk, was I was visiting a really close friend, and he bid and won screen-used Tusk pieces, one of which being like half of the whole bodysuit. So it was a crazy thing. And at this point, I was only like a surface-level Kevin Smith fan, like Mallrats and Jay and Silent Bob I've watched. I'd never watched any of his more estranged films. So Tusk was my first deep dive into like the weirdo realm of Kevin Smith. And I loved it. It was a great movie. I've loved it ever since. And oddly enough, they flash in the beginning that this film is based on a true story, which is a very, very loose way of putting it. Basically, on Kevin's podcast, Smodcast, they found a real ad for someone who said that they had a walrus suit, and you could live with them and have open reign if you would be in the suit 2 hours a day and act like a walrus.
This is fucking weird.
Like a real article. They read it on his podcast, and then basically from the ground up, they pitched the movie right then and there. And they're like, should we make this happen? Like, if you want us to make this movie, like, tweet hashtag walrus yes or walrus no. And, like, it blew up. And, like, we didn't really pay close attention to the credits, but at the end, it actually shows every username of hashtag walrus yes. Like, a whole thing. It was a very trending tag, so it, like, blew up. And with the overwhelmingly positive results, Tusk became a thing. And another funny thing as a tie into Tusk with me is Robert Kurtzman's Creature Corpse is the ones who did all the effects for the film. And one of the artists who used to work with Mushroomhead is now employed by Robert Kurtzman. So that like also ties in with me personally. So it's kind of just a cool little neat thing.
For me, I don't have any background into like getting into this movie. I like Kevin Smith. I think he's interesting. So like his work would definitely be something I'd be willing to try more watching of. Even after watching this, it's even more intriguing because of just like a what the fuck factor was this.
Yeah.
I've only watched Comic Book Men of him.
Sure. And that's great on its own.
But that's like nothing like what this is. And you have been recommending it, and Alex has been recommending it. So, you know, you guys were over, so I was like, whatever, let's give it a watch, and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
And it was definitely worth the watch. Like, I'd recommend it to people without a doubt, because it's just one of those, like, you just got to see it to, like, even know, like, it's such an out there movie, but it's good. Like, there's movies that do stupid, weird shit, but they're garbage movies, or I'd just be like, don't watch that. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Like, that's a dumpster fire. But this was, like, really well done. I thought it was interesting. It kept me, like, captivated the entire time. I enjoyed it a lot. I mean, with all that said, I think the lesson here is never go full walrus.
Never go full walrus. Now is the time we dink and sink, ladies and gentlemen. Dribbled a little bit. Also, if you'd like to see the Tusk suit, you can go follow my friend at Perfect Ugly on Instagram. There's plenty of pictures on there. You can see the real suit. At one point, he owned knee appliances. They were made from the mold, just not used. And then he also has a cowl for the head that was from the mold, but not used. Hey guys, do you like masks? Why Why don't you follow me on Instagram at Wisconsin_mask_collector? See that shit? That's me. Also Twitter at Wisco Masco.